Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to our review of Rocket League. Now, just real quick, if you hear any strong winds in the background, too bad, because I wish I could control the weather, but I can't. For some reason, it's been really windy this past couple of days, so you're probably going to be hearing wind chimes in the background, but it's fine, because also we play music over this anyway. But without further ado and not wasting any time, let's get started into our Rocket League review. Now, it's been a long time since we played Rocket League, so there might be a couple of things that we missed, but that's fine. Let's go over the game company / creator, which is Epic Games. You know, they've made okay games. That should be the new name, okay games.
Epic Games, okay.
Because, you know, everyone knows about Fortnite, which isn't great. And then Rocket League was actually one of their funner ones that I know about. And then I don't know as far as I'm aware, I don't really pay attention to what else they make, so that's all I know.
I know that they bought Fall Guys, but they didn't make it.
No, they didn't make it.
But
they
some of their
just bought it.
editions haven't really been that great.
Yeah, so as a company, I can't really speak about them too much just because I don't really care about them too much, to be honest. So yeah, I can't speak much about them, but I just think that, you know, from their past games, it's way better than their past games, like Fortnite. Or actually, I think Rocket League might have came first. I'm not too sure. Either way, Fortnite's garbage, and I haven't seen anything else, so...
They're okay.
They're okay. Moving on to what is done well. I think Rocket League did a lot of things well. First of all, the amount of game modes that you can actually play. Because you had, like, the spike ball where you had to carry the... You had to, like, basically hug the ball and throw it in the goal as opposed to just hitting the ball and shooting it into the goal. You had, like, a hockey mode, if I recall. You had, like, all these different modes... you had basketball, yeah, there's all these different modes you can play, and each mode depends on the map you play on too, because there's some maps where the goal is not at the end, it's actually sort of closer to the middle, so it's really hard to get into the goal. I remember that map specifically. There's like different rules with like I know there's a map where it was one goal, but it was separated in the middle, so like you couldn't just shoot dead in the center, you had to go to the sides. So even if you pick a different game mode, you're going to be able to pick a different map and get a different experience based on those two variables you pick. It's kind of like Mario Maker, where you can make your own experience out of the choices you make. So I think that's done well. I think all the stuff they've done well. I would say that obviously there's a visual department later, so I'm going to save my thing for that. But yeah, so like there's a lot of things that are done well, but I mainly wanted to point out the whole like the game style of it, because I think having a car and driving around in a field playing soccer or football, if you want to call it that, is pretty cool. I don't know who thought of that. I don't know who was sitting in a board meeting one day being like, what if we played soccer but with explosive cars? And the board team's like, yes!
Give that man
that's the idea. So I don't know who thought of it, but, you know, some ideas sound stupid at the beginning, and then they actually are pretty good. And this is one of those cases where it sounds dumb when you hear about it and you haven't played Rocket League before, but it's actually a thing you can do. And also, I do appreciate that you can play with bots, because as far as I'm aware, Fortnite cannot be played with bots. Not that I would play it anyway, but you know what I mean, you can't play with bots. Whereas in Rocket League, if I wanted to make, like, if this was a series that I was doing by myself, or Zach and Isabel weren't on the channel yet, I could have easily done it, because you can add bots, and you can customize their difficulty similar to how you can at Mario Party, where there's, like, a recruit, and then it goes all the way up to, like, All-Star, I think, is the highest. So yeah, I like all the different, like, AI implements that you can have. Customization's not really too important to me in video games, but it does have that as well, so you can customize your car. I know at one point there was a Luigi and Mario car, because they must have had a Mario crossover. I know there was a Zelda one as well. So they've had crossovers. Yeah, Metroid. They've had crossovers clearly. And they've had crossovers with real life cars, because I've seen real life cars modeled in the game too.
Yeah, I think I've seen like some Chevys and stuff like that.
I know I've seen a Tesla or something, whatever they were. But yeah, so like all the crossovers are really cool. So the customization's there. And obviously there is, just like Fortnite, there is in-game stuff you can buy, but I wouldn't bother with that. But yeah, that's a lot of the stuff I like about it. So moving on to what could be improved. At the time of us playing, there's a good amount of maps. I would have said maybe just a bit more, because there's a couple maps that are in the roster that were just remakes of the old, just in a different time zone. Because I know there was like at least 3 maps about that city level. One was at normal daytime, one was at night, one was in sunset.
Yeah.
So it's just 3 variations of the same map, which is fine because I like sunset and night themes, but it was like they weren't technically new maps just because they're the same map, just with the different, where the sun was placed differently.
Yeah, I feel like they could have made that like an option, you could have chosen the map and then chosen like the time you wanted it in.
Well, what games do is you'll select the map and you can press like X or whatever. If it's on a keyboard, you can press a certain button and it will swap between them. That way the players are like, oh, it's gonna be the same map, it's just gonna be a different time. That way it's not clouding your map selection screen. At least that's what I would do.
Yeah, it's kind of like Mario Party, where like it has like all of the Koopalings as specific character rosters instead of being able to like choose and like have a base for it and then doing that. Yoshi's, they don't do that, but like Pink Gold Peach, she could be like a Peach costume.
Oh, you're talking about Mario Kart.
Yeah, I said
you said Mario Party.
Whatever, that's the same
I was like, what is he talking about?
That's a different game.
Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that, yeah, there's a lot of maps that are just like that. I'm referencing the city level. That's just because that's the one I remember. I know there was like that creepy farm level, because I call it the creepy farm level because that's what we played it at night first, and then there was a sunset variation. So there's a lot of maps that just have variations. So I wonder if you look at all the maps, it's not actually that many. So, but this is at the time, that was at the time of us playing. It's been a year and a half at least since we last played it. I'm sure they've added new maps. They're constantly updating it, so I'm sure it doesn't apply as much anymore. But it's still, at the time of us playing it, that's what it was. I don't know. I mean, the AI seemed fine. They were like, obviously they were infuriating, but that's the point. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I think if I had to rewatch my old content about it, I'm sure there was a time where I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. I guess riding along on the ceiling doesn't make a lot of sense. I know that was a thing that happened. If you have a boost, momentum makes sense. But then when you fall off the ceiling and land on your face and you can just be on your face and play soccer, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. Also, I don't think one of the things, I mean, this was back in the previous section, but one of the things I did like too is that friendly fire is off by default. So if you want it to be chaotic, you can turn it on, but it's off by default so you don't accidentally run into somebody and kill them. That's on your own team. So, but yeah, moving on to any problems or glitches. I'm sure people have experienced glitches with this game, but we never did. So, as far as I'm aware, the games we played, we didn't see any. So, I'm just going to kind of gloss over this section. But like I said, I'm sure someone has actually seen bugs and glitches before, because they've had patches and stuff. So, I'm sure that they existed, but not when we were playing anyway. Moving on to controls. Controls are really simple. It's really just kind of 3 buttons. You have the moving button where you just move the car. You have the boost button, and you have the directional like camera button. That's really it.
Yeah, there's also like jump and stuff for like high-tech gamers.
There is, but I mean like it's still kind of one button because you can delegate it to the same button.
Pretty much.
So it's really 3 to 4 buttons depending on how you play. So it's really easy to master, I'm sure. So, but when we played it, we just did the maps and called it a day. But if you want to master that game, it's probably not that difficult because, like I said, there's only so many controls. And if you really go to the angles, if you play a lot of like pool or you play a lot of games that like heavily rely on angles, then I'm sure that game would be even easier to master just because it's all about angles and stuff, and strategy, of course. But moving on to graphics. I think graphics is probably the strongest thing this game has outside of the gameplay, just because of how beautiful the game looked. Now, we played on a Switch, so I'm sure the graphics were even toned down a little bit, because that's usually how they work. I'm assuming on PC it looks even better, but when we were on the sunset maps, when we were on like the neon maps, they all look super pretty. My only problem is I didn't get to look at them in full scale just because we were playing the game. But yeah, the graphics are super pretty. Whoever did the graphics, hats off to you because you did a great job. Like I said, I think that's what the game has most of, besides obviously the gameplay. So, but moving on to sound. Sound is the one thing that, like, because they repeat a lot of music, and I do gotta be honest, the one thing I didn't like about the game is, I guess I should have put this in the improve, but I mean it goes along with the sound, is that there's always a music track playing at the start, and you kind of had to cycle through, because there's only like one that was okay, and I'm sure it was still copyrighted. But like I had to cycle, like every time we had to start a video, I had to cycle through the songs waiting for that one, and sometimes I didn't even find it. So it's kind of annoying. You can't mute that. Maybe you can a year and a half later, but I don't know. When we were playing it though, you couldn't mute it, and you were just stuck there talking over it, because most songs had lyrics to them, and it's hard to talk over lyrics. because then you have two people talking at the same time. So I'd always have to switch for that one song that was okay, or I had to switch to a song that there wasn't any lyrics with, and there wasn't a lot of those. So
yeah, and I wish that they had a no music option. Like normally games do that.
Well, and I'm aware you can turn the sound off, but you'd have to turn it back on in the game, so it's just kind of annoying.
Yeah.
There should have been a delegated button to muting the music if you didn't want it.
Yeah, it
music
definitely
on,
wasn't like
music off.
copyright free friendly.
Copyright free friendly. That didn't make any sense.
It
Anyway,
wasn't copyright free friendly.
that still doesn't make sense. Anyway, moving on. Zach's ruining everything. But yeah, so that was kind of annoying. In the game itself, there did seem to be a lot. There wasn't really a lot of music, if I recall, because I remember specifically I had to add my own. So yeah, I would say that's probably not great. I mean, like I said, if there was music, it was so annoying that I had to add my own music so that it didn't get annoying. But I'm not even sure there was music at all, because I kind of remember it being silent. Again, this is us playing it back like a year and a half ago, so it could have changed. But when we played it, it was like there was either no music or it was the same track over and over again. So I just changed it. So in post, I made my own. But yeah, so the sound department not great. Moving on to story and characters. They're cars.
Cars.
There's a ball.
Soccer.
Yeah.
There's a goalie, which is always terrible at its job. And that's about it. That's about the roster of characters.
Yep.
If you're playing actual soccer/football, then there's gonna be like, if you really want to strategize, which I'm assuming like the major league players do, is like there's a midfield person, there's a goalie that actually does their job, there's a offensive person, and then because you can only have 4, I believe, on a team. Then maybe you have a different guy that's like he's a jack of all trades. He does all 3 except for the goalie. So yeah, if you want to strategize, then there's technically more quote-unquote characters you can do, but there's no story mode. It's all just, I don't think so anyway. But even if there was a story mode, it wouldn't make any sense because they're cars. So yeah, there's no story and there's not really characters unless you really want to qualify like the whole strategic aspect of soccer in there. Moving on to replayability. It's endless. It's literally infinite. So if you remember to our old previous like reviews, I judge replayability in 3 different aspects. The first aspect is it cannot be replayed. Once you are done with the game, it is over. There's no more content to explore. Then there's like mid-range, like borderline replayability, which is once you complete the main story, there's going to be some side stuff that you can do, but once the side stuff are done, it's kind of over. And then there's games like Minecraft, which are literally infinite. You can play those games to the end of time. You can play the game until the universe explodes, and you can still find new stuff. So yeah, so this game, Borderlands, I would say, because they keep updating the game, right? So it's not a game that's even done yet, technically. So it's automatically established as infinite already. But then also, like I said before, you have all those different combinations of stuff you can do, and you have like different, we didn't do them, but you had different party modes and stuff. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff that you can do after you play 2 games, because like I said, there's not a story mode, so there's no beating the game. It's just like Minecraft, where you can beat the Ender Dragon, but you can still play the game afterwards because you're not technically beating the game. So it falls under infinite, so you get basically infinite replayability out of it. And moving on to personal takes. I think the game was pretty good when we played it. Like I said, it's been a long time since we did, but when we played it was pretty fun, if I recall. We did play a lot of the different modes and stuff, like the basketball, the COVID mode, and the like I said, I'm remembering some sort of, it wasn't hockey, but it was like there's some sort of thing where the ball was like stuck to the ground almost, and you kind of had to like run into it and push it.
Yeah, like drag it,
But either way, so like I enjoyed my time with it. The only thing I didn't like is the split screen, but that's just something that's gonna have to happen with that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I mean, Zach and Isabel could have got on their own switches to do it, but it would have been a hassle to do that. So I mean, I still think it's because I think Rocket League did this right, where instead of having 4 boxes, even though you have 3 players, it had 3 boxes. So you had like one person just had like half the screen, which was whatever, and then you had the other 2 people like were in like normal quarter boxes. But they didn't have a stupid 4th box that was meaningless, that was just kind of there, right?
Yeah, it was either always black or just like a highlight showing thing, like in Mario Kart.
Doesn't matter, but either way, I think that's one thing they did do right. And somehow I forgot that in the what they did well section. But yeah, that they did that well, and like the person that had half the screen was always player one, which made sense, I guess. But yeah, so it made it much more enjoyable to play just because of that. So, but yeah, Zach, what's your personal take?
Okay, so Rocket League was definitely a pretty fun game to play. I will say that. And to me, like, having fun in a game is one of the most important things. Because if you're not having fun, then, like, what's the point of playing it, you know? And Rocket League was definitely fun. Besides, like, the split screen thing, the only real things that I would have changed is just a slightly more variety in terms of the stages and also the whole music ordeal. Besides that, it was pretty, I liked it.
Alright, Isabel?
Okay, so after the series ended, I kind of wanted to have it on my Switch since it's free. You don't have to like pay any money for it, so I decided to do that because why not? Because the game is very fun to play. So I did do that. I played the tutorial level so I can like try to learn some new stuff. And they do tell you some, I think they do tell you some like tips and tricks to like improve your strategy, but I think I do remember that they don't tell you everything, that I think you kind of do have to learn on your own. And I think one of those is like a new button that can like, that'll be way more easier. I think it's Y. Yeah, I believe it's Y. You can, if you press Y when you're driving, you can like make a quick U-turn instead of having to like, cause like trying to drive to turn around to get to the ball is pretty annoying, but
Okay, what does that have to do with your personal take?
because it's like a little mini issue that I wish I was told in the tutorial, but it's fine. But yeah, but still a fun game to play though.
Yeah. So moving on to is it worth it? The game is free, so the answer is yes. Any game that's free that isn't a mobile game is probably worth it. I don't know if it is on mobile. I don't think it is. But yeah, it's literally free, so if you want to give it a shot, do. I think you do need an Epic account. I think that is the one gatekeeper that you do need. Which, whatever. I had an Epic account back when I played Fortnite, because I played it for like 2 months and then got bored of it. So I still had one active. And on Zach's Switch, I think we just created one. We were like, here's a random username, here's some random numbers, boom, we got it. So you can do whatever you want. If you've already played Epic games, then you're good to go. It's basically no problem whatsoever. If you haven't played an Epic game in your life, then yes, you probably will need to make one. But like I just said, you can, if you're never going to use an Epic account again, you can just make a random selection of garbage and be like, all right, I'm in. I think that is the one gatekeeper, unless they did change that. But yeah, so is it worth it? Yes, it's free. And of course, moving on to our final rating. I've been thinking about this as we've been talking, and I was gonna give it a 7 because I think it's just on par with Security Breach, where I'd want to go back to it. I enjoyed my time playing it, and there's still things I would have changed, but because I do know this, and that's the community around Rocket League is not great. There's a lot of toxic players and stuff. When you play online, there's a lot of toxic people. So, and you can't 100% blame the game for that, but because of the bad experiences people had and the bad experiences I've seen online because of the game, I have to take it down to a 6. I don't think it's a bad game by any means. I still think there's things that could be improved, like we just talked about, but because I have to take it down one notch just because of the community and stuff like that. Because if it got better, then I would have left it at a 7, but I'm giving it a 6 just based on what I just said. So, but Zach, what do you think?
Okay, yeah, that is a very big drawback. Yeah, because I was gonna give it a 7 as well. It's definitely, I think, on par with Security Breach, because like it's fun, it's a good game, but if there was something else like an 8 out of 10 or above, I would take that over Rocket League. But definitely, like, if it has like a really bad community and people that just either trash on you and all that garbage, then that can definitely not be fun at all. And so, yeah, I'd probably take it down to a 6, to be honest.
All right, Isabel?
Yeah, I kind of was also thinking of 7, but I cannot stand toxic people on the internet since they're dumb and don't know, like, yeah, but I would probably also take it to a 6, but the toxic community of Rocket League you can't, it's honestly not the game's fault, but It's just something that's ruining it.
Alright, fabulous. So that is going to be our final rating. I always do whatever mine is, so these two can disagree, but that's what I always do. So yeah, if you, of course, you guys can form your own opinions after you play it, or if you've already played it, then cool. But yeah, I can't give it I can't, because FNAF's community 90% of the time is good. But Rocket League, I've heard, is like a 50-50, which is not good odds. So I would say just because of that, that's why I brought it down to a 6. I still think the 6 points it has is purely because of the game. So just keep that in mind, because of what the game did well and stuff. But yeah, I think it's gonna be it for this episode, guys. Now I am going to be testing a new outro for this series, just this series, just to kind of isolate it so it doesn't go into all the other stuff. But I want to see if you guys would prefer the normal outro that we've been doing for the past 2 years, or if you would prefer like what quote-unquote normal YouTubers do, which is like an end card, where you have like music in the back, you have the graphic or whatever. So that's what's going to be happening at the end of this video in a second. So yeah, let me know down in the comments if you prefer that, or if you prefer what we've been doing since day one. So yeah, there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.